In July 28th, 1997, the King of Fighters 97 was released in Japan on the Neo Geo. The development was a rather fun one, to be blunt. In order to decide who would be on the members of the 97 special team, 3 polls were conducted by video game journals Weekly Famitsu, Gamist, and Neo Geo Freaks, in which readers voted on who they wanted to see in their team. The Neo Geo Freaks winner was Billy Kane, and Famitsu's winner was Ryoji Yamazaki. Blue Mary was the first in the Gamers poll, winning to Duck King from Fatal Fury, who was second on the list. Not to mention, Iori in his Orochi form was meant to be the final boss initially, but was later changed to another figure. Story-wise, despite the events at the end of the previous tournament, the King of Fighters tournament was a huge commercial success, which sparked a worldwide fighting craze. Within a few months of the tournament ending, various large corporations had held smaller King of Fighters tournament qualifiers constructed by a special King of Fighters stadium around the world, building the excitement up for the next tournament. News of the tournament spread through every form of media, and the fans of the new fighters from across the globe came to watch the preliminary matches. All of the characters from the previous game returned, with the exception of the boss team, which disbanded after the first appearance. Kasumi Toda, who went off to search for her father, and Mature and Vice, who were killed by Iori Agami after he was possessed by the riot blood at the conclusion of the previous game. Chizuru Kagura, the sub-boss in the previous game, takes Kasumi's place in the Women Fighters team, while Geese Howard's underling Billy Kane, who previously participated in the King of Fighters 95 tournament, returns to join forces with the female agent Blue Mary and the wanted felon Ryoji Yamazaki. Both form the Fatal Fury Team 3 to form the unlikely 97 special team. Iori returns as a team edit character along with Shingo Yabuki, a high school student who patterns his fighting style after his idol and reluctant mentor Kiyo Kusanagi. An alternate version of Kiyo with his pre-KOF 96 moveset also appears as a hidden character. Iori and Leona will fight as mid-boss characters in the Riot of the Blood Curse, depending on the characters who are you playing as. A team of all new challengers will appear to form the new Faces team, consisting of Badmates Yashiro, Namikaze, Shermie, and Chris. In this conclusion, Orochi takes control of Chris, one of the defeated foes. Gameplay-wise, this time around remained the same with a few tweaks. For one, introduces 2 distinct play styles where players can select before choosing their team: Advanced Style and Extra Style. Advanced Style is based on previous games in the series, KOF 96, but features a revamped power gauge. Instead of charging the power gauge is now filled when the player strikes the opponent by performing special moves or normal moves. The player can stock up to 3 power gauges. The player can also use 1 stock of the power gauge to perform a super special move, or enter max mode, in which the player's defensive and offensive strength are increased. Performing a special move while in max mode will make the player's move more powerful. Extra mode is based on the first 2 games in the series, 94 and 95. Like in those games, the player fills the power gauge by charging and defending against the opponent's attacks. After the gauge is filled, the player enters max mode, and like in Advance, their character's offense and defense will increase. The player can only perform a super special move in max mode or when their life gauge is nearly empty and flashing red. When the player performs the super mode in max mode while their life gauge is flashing red, then the super move will be even more powerful. The emergency roll maneuver from KOF 96 used in advanced mode is replaced by the sidestep of KOF 94 and 95. Overall, the King of Fighters 97 was received relatively well for its new edition. Fans patiently awaited the release of King of Fighters 97.
shit like you just got your motherfucker. 2, 3. It all began in 94. It kept on rolling in 95. We're in place in 96. It came to an end in 97. And now comes, and here we go. Halo Competitive 2 again. Nothing's gonna stop since 1998.
In July 23rd, 1998, the King of Fighters 98 was released in Japan arcades. Now, right off the bat, the King of Fighters 98 is a compilation game, meaning that there is no story of any type of plot in this game. Because of this, dead characters such as Rugal Bernstein could return. In fact, every single character up to this point has returned into one big game. It's also important to note that Kyo has two different playstyles, being his classic and modern style. Gameplay wise, nothing really changed at all actually. It's easy to call the King of Fighters 98 a filler game, but fans received this game positively and patiently awaited for King of Fighters 99. In July 22nd, 1999, the King of Fighters 99 was released. Off the bat, we were introduced to having a team of 4 rather than 3, with 3 fighters and 1 being a striker, which allows someone to jump in and do a limited amount of special moves. The story actually begins with 2 years passing since Orochi's defeat. Kyo Kusanagi and Yori Yagami goes missing. Out of nowhere, invitations for the King of Fighters 99 tournament were given out to many characters, though this competition is more of a secretive affair than those in 96 and 97. Because of Kyo and Yori missing from the game, the teams had to be reshuffled. And because of that, we received a new protagonist. His name is K-Dash with his partner Maxima, who joins forces with Kyo's former teammate Benamaru Nikaido and Shingo Yabuki to form the new hero team. Takuma Sakazaki returns at the front to the Art of Fighting team as the 4th member, while Mai Shiranui finally becomes an official member of the Fatal Fury team. For the first time in the series, King joins Special Forces with Blue Mary, formerly with the 97 Special Team, to form the new Women's Fighters team, along with Kasumi Toto, seen in King of Fighters 96, and Lee Xianfei from Real Bout Fatal Fury 2 as the newcomers. The other 3 returning teams each gain new members as well. Whip for the Akari team, Bao for the Psycho Soldiers team, Jun Hoon from the Korean team. The game has introduced 2 clones of Kyo Kusanagi, Kyo 1 and Kyo 2, as team meta characters based on previous playable incarnations of the character, while the real Kyo, along with his rival Iori, also returns, but only as secret playable characters. Antagonist of the game, Chrysalid, a clone of K-Dash, employed by Ness to carry out one of their nefarious schemes. He is faced in 2 states. The first, he appears with a coat that analyzes the opponent's data. Then once he's beaten, he takes off his coat and increases his strength while having stronger moves. Gameplay tweaks were also added into this game. For one, the advanced style and extra style was removed and used one style based mostly off of the advanced style. Along with having 3 characters on the team and 1 striker, the determining factor for how much a striker can be summoned is based on the meter called Strike Bombs, which is at the bottom of the screen. This time there are powered up states that a player can choose during battle depending on the button combination used. Counter mode increases the player's offensive strength and allows the player to use their character's super special moves infinitely. as well as combos that transitions from a special move into a super special move by using a super cancellation attack, or a moving attack. The other powered up mode is Armor Mode, which increases the character's defense strength, allowing the character to take more damage from an opponent. However, the player cannot use the super special moves during Armor Mode. Overall, the King of Fighters 99 was very iconic in the series for many of its changes and contributions. However, before the development, Kyo and Iori were originally going to be removed in the game due to the fans' negative reaction. Kyo and Iori returned. This was actually very similar to what happened with Capcom's Street Fighter 3, which was released in 1997, but I plan to axe Ryu and Ken in favor of Alex, with fan outcry saving the two iconic Shotos. As fans predicted, this is not the end for KOF. In July 26, 2000, the King of Fighters 2000 was released. Already, the arcade cabinet ran on an updated Neo Geo revision, being the revision 1.0. This revision was made in August 30th, 2000. This is a very special title. After the incident at the previous tournament, the commander of the Ikari team, Heiderin, is determined to figure out the objective of the Ness cartel so that he can stop them from achieving their ruthless ambition. A fellow commander and longtime friend of Heiderin named Ling tells veteran fighter K-Dash and Maxima were once operatives of Ness and that they may hold the key locations to the whereabouts of the mysterious organization. Using this information, Heiderin decides to focus his efforts in using the next KOF tournament as a way to lure out both K-Dash and Maxima out so they can be captured, interrogated, telling the authorities about the Ness cartel. Unknown to Heiderin, Ling has his own agenda. The hero team in King of Fighters 99 was split into two. The first team consisted of K-Dash, Maxima, joined by female agent Vanessa and Mexican wrestler Ramon. Benimaru Nikaido formed his own team consisting of Shingo Yabuki, Agent Seth, and Assassin Lin. The Fatal Fury team replaced Mai Shiranui with Blue Mary, while Yuri Sakazaki left the Art of Fighting team, with King taking her spot. Mai and Yuri returned to form the Women's Fighters team, this time being joined by Kasumi Todo and a high school student, Hinako Shijo, who uses her own sumo wrestling style. Hyo Kusanagi and Iori once again returned as team edit characters. A third team edit character also appears in the form of Kula Diamond, a young girl genetically engineered by Ness to be the Anti-K. The game now has an active striker system which allows the player to summon the striker member during any situation, whether the player is attacking or the opponent or being attacked by the opponent player, to use their strikes into combos. Additionally, the player can now replenish strike bombs by either losing rounds or taunting the opponent, at the expense of one stock of the power gauge filled. The player now has two choices after selecting a striker member of the team. The player can choose to use the regular character or an alternate character, officially known as another striker. A character used exclusively for striker attacks. These alternate strikers are characters from previous KOF games and other SNK franchises, such as Theo Jeremy from Metal Slug, Duke Edwards from Burning Fight, as well as alternate versions of characters in the game, such as Iori and Robert. There's also another set of alternate characters known as the Maniac Strikers, which are selected in the arcade versions by inputting a specific code for a notable character such as Neo and Geo, Cool Choi, and Smart Chang. The console versions included additional Maniac Strikers by completing a number of matches in party mode. The game was received fairly well. Sadly, this will be SNK's last King of Fighters game before filing for bankruptcy. This is a huge blow within how we look at KOF and how the company fared. When the King of Fighters 2000 was released to the consoles, it was actually packaged in with the King of Fighters 2001 in a 2-in-1 package. This was a very sad time for SNK as the company. Next time, we will talk about the King of Fighters 2001 through 13, which will be our final episode before briefly talking about the King of Fighters 14. And then after that, we will go on to the handheld series. So stick around.